Hey everyone, and welcome back to To Do Today. I'm Pen, and I will be your host on this adventure. We are smack dab in the middle of a big competition where I might get to work at my favorite game studio that makes the game I play. So yeah, I just passed the first part of the competition, so now I get to do the practical test, which is gonna be scary, I feel like. After a short break to set everything up, we were told what the task was going to be. A character design. Computers, software, and other equipment were provided. At first, I was pretty excited about the task, until the final details were revealed. Well, it looks like our remaining 4 finalists are quite the motley crew. Are you all ready? Alright, if you have any technical problems, now is the time to speak up, or else it'll take up your work time. You have a total of 90 minutes to come up with an idea and get it into a presentable state. Alright, and we'll make the rounds with the camera to show everyone at home what you're making. So be ready to answer some questions. Seriously? You don't expect a full-on production quality here, right? And before you ask, of course we mainly judge the idea, but executing it well will obviously give you more points. Any questions? No? Well, let's get started then. Wait, so is there a topic, or are we just supposed to design a random character? Oh, I'm sorry, didn't I mention? The topic is Combat Mailman. Mailman? Combat Mailman. It's like a berserker? No, didn't you hear what I said? A combat mailman. It's a really manly fighter, right? Okay, scratch that. We're making it a mail clerk now. Mail clerk. As in someone who works at the post office for everyone who hasn't caught on. Gender doesn't matter. Oh, but don't forget the combat bit. I'm curious how you'll combine these topics. Feel free to do something world building to tie everything together. Aside from the main theme, you're free to do whatever you want. Alright, any more questions? Well, then let's get ready. 90 minutes starts now. Okay, let's do this. The topic itself already feels like a curveball, but I only have 90 minutes to... having 90 minutes was still the biggest obstacle. The time pressure quickly won over my general nervousness, so I started sketching. And formulating a complete idea and then trying to execute it in time wouldn't work. I'm not the fastest, but at least I know my limits. I decided to make something simple. To sell the design with an interesting shapes and a twist on the concept. I also took some liberties with the topic and made it about email. So the mail clerk would be more like an AI sorting incoming mail and sending others off. All the while defending the users from viruses, spam, and phishing mails. Even so, I didn't think about what I was doing as much as I probably should have. Once I found an idea that worked, I clung to it. But it didn't keep me from changing things over and over again. Of course, right when I found a fatal flaw in my design, I started erasing what didn't work. The camera team approached. I think I somehow salvaged the situation, but it was stressful. Eventually, the time was up, and we had to present our respective pieces. I was so nervous I couldn't focus while the others were presenting, or think of what I'd say once it was my turn. The jury standing before us was all that occupied my mind. They didn't introduce themselves, but it was likely that they were all lead artists, art directors, and who knows what else. After the first 2 presentations were over, the host turned to me and I realized it was time. Oh boy. Alright then, Pan. Viewers at home already got a glimpse of your piece, but please show us your final product. Tell me all the juicy little details that make it special. Yeah, sure. Here is my combat mail clerk. Or AI rather. Damn, what was even my thought process while making this? It's a blur now. Maybe I should start by explaining why I chose AI. Let's go, most communication is digital these days. So I just thought that it made sense to focus on email. And since that makes the mail clerk digital, I decided to make them an AI. As you can see, they have some additional arms on their back. Those are actually interchangeable. So depending on the AI's current task, they could equip knives for combat or extra hands to sort mail more quickly. Interesting. Since you made a virtual character, is there a reason they look rather male? Or would there be other gender expressions too? Let's go with they actually don't have a gender. I decided that it didn't make sense to arbitrarily give the AI a gender. So you were going for androgynous look? Yes. Now that you say so, I can kind of see it. Thanks for the clarification. Could you also tell us more about the clothing and those inline skates? Of course. Color of the clothing and the logo are mainly inspired by the uniform of the local post office, which might not read that well internationally, but I figure yellow is also communicates that they're a worker and draws attention to the torso. On the other hand, I wanted to keep things functional and techy without going overboard, so details, so mostly black and grey, with some blue here and there, since that's already the color of their hair and the markings on their face. As for the inline skates, I'd go with they make the AI appear more mechanical. Well, they're mounted directly to the legs, which was one way to make sure the character doesn't look like a human in a robo suit. I felt like the markings on the face and the 4 extra arms weren't completely clear on that. Good point. Clarity can be important in such cases. That's a pretty elegant way to communicate this without drastically changing their physique. One last question. In your particular setting, why is there a need for your mail clerk to be armed? Well, I figured since AI is already personified, viruses and spam might be too. And if the AI has agency and works for their respective user, they probably want to protect them from those threats. So their responsibility would be receive, sort, and send off mail as well as fight off threats. Nice and simple, I like it. Do you have anything else to add? I don't think so. Well then, let's then on to the next presentation. Okay, Phoenix! Let's see what his is. Please tell us all there is to know about your design. Sure. Oh. I decided to take a more historical approach and got inspired by uniforms of the early 20th century. Mainly postal workers, but there are also military influence to stay in line with the combat theme. I've noted most of the important points on the concept, but in short, I wanted it to be functional and classy. Their appearance is supposed to convey the feeling of service worker with combat experience. Friendly but stern when necessary. Most of all, I wanted her to be reliable and reassuring. Have you thought about why she's carrying a gun? Yes, it's not directly referencing any real-world conflict, but I decided on a war setting, mail clerks like her often handle important and confidential messages, so she's armed to protect herself in the mail. As for her character, I thought that it might be interesting to make her a spy. But that was about all the world building I could do in those 90 minutes. Sure, that's fine. But did I hear you right that you decided to make her a unique character and not just a stand-in of how mail clerks look in their setting? Both, kind of. She of course showcases the mail clerk uniform, but I also wanted her to look interesting enough to be an actual character. Alright, thanks for the clarification. If you don't have anything else to add, the judges and I will start our discussion now. Stay right there, stay right where you are, folks. We'll be right back. Oh, here we go. The judges begin to confer. I had no idea how well I did or how I stood compared to the other participants. Phoenix's design looked more polished than mine, but I was too nervous to really compare them beyond that. It wasn't my opinion that counted anyway. Before too long, the host returned to announce their decision. Well, that's tough. All 4 of you have done good jobs. But we have to make a decision nonetheless. First off, Phoenix. As always, impressive work. Getting lost in details is pretty dangerous when working with tight time constraints, but you barely managed to dodge that. The design itself is fairly basic, but it's well executed, it fits all the requirements, and has enough of an interesting bits to still look unique. It's not quite unanimous this time, but you're in the final round of this finale. Now, as for the last slot, for this final showdown, this is a tough one. All of you have certain qualities, but we're not looking for a showdown of technical skill alone. Phoenix already covers that front, so we're looking for something else for the final finalist. Pen, did you struggle with the time limit? Yes. Yes, to be honest, I did. Well, that's not a problem. It actually made your piece more interesting. Visually, it's pretty rough and simplistic, but you focused on the core, the design itself. I'm glad you decided to take the time to think about the world first before starting the design process. Of course, it looks like there are a few ambiguities here and there due to the rough art, but at this stage, this is more of a starting point than a finishing concept. It'd be a tough battle, but you managed to get the majority of votes, barely. Holy shit, I made it? Sorry to everyone who lost this round, but this is our selection. Don't fret though, you still did a great job getting this far. It might not be the job or prize you wanted, but we also have some unique Naughty Cat t-shirts and other goodies for you. Don't forget to pick them up on the way out. Next up is the last part of today's finale. A face-off of the contestants to determine who will start as a junior artist in Naughty Cat next month. Well, and there's also 1,000 euros to be won. Okay. This is a lot. This is it. I already almost expected that I'd have to compete directly with Phoenix if I wanted to win. There's one final test left. They said a face-off, but it'll have to be related to the job, right? Can't win with technical skill alone. They basically said so themselves. Then I'll have to find some other qualities that make me desirable for them. Alright, Pen, Phoenix, are you ready? You can think of this final test as sort of a job interview. Both of you have something that qualifies you to work here, but we want to see who would be the better addition to the team. And don't worry too much about what we might want to hear, just be honest. A little disclaimer though, for everyone watching at home, our decisions here only represent our studio's policies. Other companies might look for other qualities, and just because something worked here doesn't mean it'll work for other studios. Do your research before you apply. Now let's start with the first question. There's probably a reason why you decided to take part in this competition, right? So why exactly do you want to work at Naughty Cat? Phoenix? Well, I was introduced to the video games fairly late, and I can say that they're much more than an occasional pastime for me. But I think the challenge of creating art that is aesthetic and still serves a purpose is a lot more present in games than a lot of other media. It intrigued me, and Naughty Cat seemed like one of the best studios to work at. Alright, and you, Pen? Love your games. You're one of the best. I think you're one of the best, if not the best game studio right now. The overall quality and scope and the attention to detail is always so impressive. To be honest, it's a little intimidating. Not completely sure if I'm ready to work at a place like this, but I want to try. And I think I'm capable of getting good enough to hold my own here. You know what they say, first step to self-improvement is self-awareness. This definitely gives us a better idea of your motivation. And let's continue with a classic. Pen. What do you think your biggest weakness is? Where do I even start? My current skill level, being an introvert, my lack of motivation. Being an introvert. Probably being an introvert. I mean, there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but it usually takes some time before I warm up to new people. And, well, I know that my awkwardness can sometimes get in the way of communication. I have no idea how it'll be at a studio environment, but just getting that out there. Alright, Phoenix. I can partially relate to that because I'm rather reserved as well, but I wouldn't go as far as to calling it my biggest weakness. I really enjoy painting. To relax, I usually just paint for the sake of painting. And as you mentioned earlier, I often get lost in the details. It's not really what is important for a concept art though. So if you just go by that, illustration might actually be what I'd enjoy most. And I've been wondering whether I want to be an artist or an artisan. As enjoyable as it is to create art just for the process of creating it, I want to create something with more use and meaning to it. Which can be a challenge for me, but I think overcoming weakness is the only way to grow. Well, knowing where you can improve is important, but don't forget to sell us your strong points too. So tell us, why should we choose you over the other? Because of my understanding of your projects. Because technical skill isn't all. I think the fact that I'm here along with Phoenix already speaks for itself. Close as it might have been, you said there's something justifying that I'm here. Looking at our designs, I think part of that is creativity. But I'm also reflective and able to handle and incorporate feedback as well. This is ultimately a team effort, and honestly, given where you are now, I'm sure you have plenty of skilled artists already. So being able to work with them is surely more important than producing polished artwork. Phoenix, what do you have to say to that? Well, it's true that these are important traits, but I don't think I lack them. Creativity can't be measured easily, but I do have to admit that my design today was more conservative than Pen's. Still, I think my painting skill and efficiency are what really sets me apart from them. Well then, need some time to come to a conclusion, but I think this was a productive interview. Well, we'll tell you when we've made a decision. This would be just the worst for me, having to sit and wait. We were supposed to just sit and wait outside while the judges talked about what they just heard. It was kind of nerve-wracking. I think almost 20 minutes passed before we were called back into the room. To be honest, I didn't think the decision would take so long. But then again, this is a fairly important decision to them. And ultimately, also for us. Sorry for the wait. The debate ended up being a little bit more heated than I expected. I never thought I'd see the literal version of a wig being snatched, but here we are. To make it short, it was close. But we've finally come to a conclusion. Of course, we were looking for a talented artist. Otherwise, the initial selection, the theoretical test, and the practical task wouldn't have been there. Well, that isn't all we were looking for. It's important to us that our team functions on a human level. In some ways, that's even more important than being a skilled artist. Of course, it needs to be a good balance of the two, which is why our decision took so long. But after talking it out, we finally agree. This decision we've come to is, everybody ready? That you will be our new junior artist, Pen! Yay, I fucking won! Oh my god, did I just hear that right? There are some formalities that we will have to take care of before you can officially start, but what do you say? You want to be a part of our team? Yes, of course! Alright, then we're happy to welcome you to the Naughty Cat family. Phoenix, you're still a great artist, so don't let this drag you down too much, okay? I'm sure there are other studios who would be more than happy to have you. Well, that's it. Thanks for joining us today. I did it! Yay! I fucking won. I couldn't believe it. Somehow I managed to win the competition. Somehow I managed to get a job at the game studio I've always admired. And somehow I managed to get out of this financial nightmare that this whole month has been so far. Okay. Well, that was a lot. Phoenix told me to meet up with him in front of the building, but I don't see him anywhere. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave this for a minute. I'm gonna end this video here, and I feel like that this is pretty much done. I feel like that there can't be much left of this. So I want to leave it for one last episode. Because I feel like a lot of feelings are about to be felt, considering we're like, I feel like close friends. We committed crime together. So, yeah, I'm gonna end this. I hope you're having a good evening. Also, if you are feeling good vibes right now, hit the subscribe button and you will get vibes all the time that are good for me, or at least, unless the video game wants to make me cry. Alright, I hope you're... I blanked on what I was going to say now. Don't forget to subscribe. I said that, I'm pretty sure. Don't forget to give this video a like, maybe share it with a friend. I don't know what you want to do. You're free to do whatever you feel like. But, yeah, I hope the rest of your day is good. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!